I felt the temperature went down today. I could be wrong, but.
It did.
Did it? Did it? Are we all set?
If you would like to, you may.
Right.
Let me just
Yeah,
record this one
yeah,
too.
no problem. I'm waiting for it to say we are recording.
Recording in progress.
Okay. If I could ask everyone to rise for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Gentlemen, we have minutes of our meeting held on April 25th, right here. Could I have a motion to accept
I'll
those?
move it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
John, can you sign that, please? Thank you. There you go, Sonny. Thank you. Awesome. Okay, we're gonna start with new business, and we have people from the library trustees here that would like to discuss future building plans. If you'd like to come and sit up.
Eileen's just running a little late because she has to walk up the library at 5.
Okay.
So she has a lot of our paperwork.
Well, if you wanna wait for a second, we'll
Sure.
go to the next item, and we'll wait for Eileen, okay? Sorry about that.
No, thank you.
All right, Lakes Region Public Access. Request appointment for a new representative to the board, and it sounds like,
Yes, Jean is currently serving that position until the end of May 2022.
okay,
So they are looking to appoint Alan McCrae from a alternate to a rep to serve as Belmont's rep for the LRPA board.
and he's agreed to that, I assume?
I don't know that.
Yes,
Yeah. Okay, all right.
So if you
But
just want
I'd make that appointment of Alan McCray. He's been on that. He originally was one of the startup members of that.
Oh, was he really?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. All right, I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Let's just do, L-chip incentive payment for conservation. They must be receiving some money.
Yeah, so this is similar to the same L-chip that we got for the bandstand.
Yep.
This one is for the Conservation Commission for the Courier Sanborn Conservation Area. And that is for $250, and they would like to put their funds into the conservation fund.
I'll make a motion that we accept that and put it in the conservation fund.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we have any other new business?
I don't believe we have any other new business, Jean. I think the cameras are
That's under old business. All right,
Yeah.
we'll move on to the cameras under old business.
So at our last meeting, Jean had gotten a quote from A&B Lock and Security, with their quote being $9,463 to upgrade and add extra cameras at Sargent Park. It is her recommendation that we take $4,500 out of maintenance and repairs and $4,963 out of the municipal facilities line. Jean also did get word back from them that they are currently 4 to 6 weeks out on the installation, so unfortunately it's not going to be an instant fix. It's something we're gonna have to wait till probably end of June, mid-July.
So.
Or mid-June.
Excuse me. Don't let me interrupt. Go ahead.
Nope.
Well, I was just curious, I know I spoke to you, Gene, about Parks and Recreation picking up this tab. Did you research that at all? I mean,
Yes, I did, and I took $4,500 out of that account. I think the issue I was concerned about was whether or not the programming would actually get started. So what I would recommend is that you authorize it to come from the capital reserve
So in other words, $4,500 is coming out of Park and Rec, it's coming out of maintenance and repair out of the Park and Rec. Okay,
Oh, okay.
all right, and then the other at the moment is coming out of municipal facilities unless,
unless the program doesn't get its earliest start, or they have less, field trips, or, you know,
Expenses.
whatever
yeah,
complications may arise with the program, that would allow you to take the balance from the budget.
Okay.
I just didn't want to, commit it and then have her really find staff and get going, and then she would be short in that regard.
Okay.
As it is, this overexpense is the maintenance and repair line, because we did not do the tennis court wall that Patrick had suggested doing because of the cost of repairs of materials. So we have 35 and change in there. This overexpends that, you know, by about $1,000.
You got me confused now. Where did this wall come from? I mean, what wall are we talking?
The wall was part of the operating budget that was originally proposed by the town through Patrick. However, he's determined that the painting that they did last year is holding up. He doesn't need to do the repairs this year because the cost of the materials was very high. He felt it could wait because the repairs were holding up well.
All right. Thank you. Okay.
okay.
Yep.
Do you need a motion for that, or no, you don't need a motion for that,
No,
all right,
we're gonna need a motion on the total dollar value with,
90,
$9,300.
You had already,
94.
approved
we'd
that.
already approved it.
Yep,
All right, we just didn't know exactly where it was
gonna come
coming
from.
from.
Allocated.
We approved it, didn't know where it was coming from. Got it, okay. Do we have any other old business?
Can I just ask?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Skate park, I noticed there was an article in the paper this
Yeah.
weekend. Where do we stand on that?
I
Left
think we
field.
have to wait until we've gotta wait to find out if they get the grant money, correct, Jean?
So we submitted the pre-application for the grant to the Land Water Conservation Fund. They have it. They came back to us with a couple of questions at the end of last week, just clarifying the amount. We took care of that information with them. They will get back to us if in fact we move on to the next step. The group is currently looking at the site next to the fire station.
That's our first
Been in
choice.
touch, right, we've been in touch, as you know, with DOT in regards to getting access from Main Street across the front part of that parcel to the beginning of the fire department parcel, so there could be a walkway going up through there. Would be on the same parcel as the town sign. Amanda Osmer and Barbara Riverio have been extremely helpful in putting together the information that was necessary for the grant. I know that they did go to the school and make a presentation. I don't know if there's been any decision out of that conversation, at least at this point.
I haven't heard anything. Yeah.
We weren't able to submit a grant on behalf of the school property because we don't own it. We were only able to submit on behalf of the fire department piece.
We just pay the bills, that's all, but we don't own it. Yeah, yeah.
Well, this parcel that you're talking about is where the sign is?
That's for the walkway, a walkway it would be from the, from the sidewalk, the sidewalk that's across the street from the Catholic Church on Main Street, and we're trying to get approval to go up through with a walkway, through the woods, so to speak. All right,
Well, my concern is, the state's gonna redo this intersection down here. They're probably gonna redo that, cut that corner off because they own that land, right?
right, and that's only a walkway to use now, they very well, if they end up doing it, we might lose that walkway.
Well, my thinking is that, you know, the amount of traffic that you've got a skate park, it seems to be pretty close to the road. I'd be concerned about that.
Well, I think it's,
There'd be an entire parcel between the
Right.
road and that fire department parcel.
The parcel at the fire department is not on the corner of the fire department's entry.
Correct.
It's back further.
Okay,
It's in the back. It's not gonna be near the road.
okay.
It's kind of, I guess if you were standing at the fire department looking at the woods, it's back that way, not,
Back where the gate is, the rear gate.
yeah. And that was their first choice. Their second choice is the school, and the third is the park, but that's their least.
Yeah. That's a nice parcel down there on Concord Street.
Oh, I totally agree, but that's,
What amazes me though is that the superintendent of schools, when approached in front of us, said, well, we got other uses for that parcel. We're gonna redirect the traffic. I guess they have a real bus problem in the mornings with traffic and people that bring their own students, they can't get them in and out of the cars, that traffic come out of there because the buses lined up. And it's amazing though that the chairman of the school board didn't know anything about
no, he wasn't the
redirecting.
chairman.
No,
He's
he was,
not-
but he's
not
been the
now.
chairman.
Yeah,
He's been on the
yeah.
school board that was running for election. Sat out there and I said, you guys really discussed this? I mean, you know, it's open. And Laconia decided after they put their skate park by the police station and it didn't work. Now it's at Opeechee. You know, it's.
I went to that school meeting where they presented, okay, and, I think my feeling was that the school board was not against that. The questions was more liability, and I know there was an issue with, I guess, no one's allowed to park in that parking lot, I guess unless you're in school or whatever. So it's a case that now there might be some parking spaces, and I didn't feel that that was a good enough excuse to eliminate. And I've kind of been a little nosy and have been going up through around there because they told me that the parking lot is full every single day. And I disagree with that analogy. That parking lot has not been full, not even close to being full with cars. I mean, I can understand if there's a big event or whatever, they might be, but no.
Well, if that parcel's big enough that you put the skate park in and put more parking.
You absolutely, that is exactly what we kind of said that too, so it's.
That was an excuse for him to say no.
Well, they haven't said no yet, but they haven't said yes either, and I guess as Jean said, we've heard nothing, and I don't know if the group has heard anything at this point either, so I'm sure they'll come back to us once they have more information, so. We're doing our part, we're trying to help in whatever way we can, and Jean definitely helped them to pull things together for the grant, correct, Jean? I mean, we've been, you know.
Yes, it's all,
Yeah, we're doing
everything
our
that
job.
needed to go went in a timely manner. They provided the description of the project and any information on funding that they had available to them.
Yeah. So,
I know. I've been around.
all right. Eileen is here. Okay, let's go back to new business. All right, ladies, come forward.
So we are obviously looking to expand the library. And, I don't know if you can see me full, but it's, there were blueprints apparently done before I came on as a trustee, so that has to be over 10 years ago by Christopher Williams, had made a blueprint.
A feasibility study.
I'm sorry?
A feasibility study. Oh, you did a feasibility?
Yeah, but we also have blueprints as well from, oh, no, like 10 years ago, this is, oh, okay. So he also did blueprints at that time as well. So the blueprints suggested that we go to the side of the, so if you're looking at the library, the side of it, which now has a road, and in the back, because the bandstand used to be behind and there wasn't a monument, and it would go around a little bit to the left-hand side. So obviously those need to change as well because the land's not there and the gazebo has moved, the bandstand has moved, and the monument is there. So before we invest all this time and volunteer time, and, I mean, I'm kind of frugal, I don't wanna pay for any blueprints, I didn't know were very expensive at that time, $45,000, and that was 2010. So, I definitely want to have a plan, and approval from the selectmen before we start doing some researching as well and fundraising as well about, because you own the land. We have the building needs to stay where it is because that's part of the stipulation that the library stay there because of the Duffy Fund, and we definitely don't wanna lose that free money, that has been there since 1920s. So we need some guidance. We need to see what the town's willing to do as well, especially regarding the land. And obviously we would have to do a bond, and we need some guidance on that situation. And also, I think originally when we had looked at this not too long ago with Christopher Williams, we didn't know that the town hall would be empty and they would be coming over here. So obviously we had meeting rooms that were in the original plan. I personally think that maybe we don't need meeting rooms because now we have all these empty buildings. That if we wanted, like downstairs when I was a child, that area was used by the Lions Club, or you couldn't even go downstairs. That was reserved for special meetings. So we need some guidance. We need, the land issue is another thing.
Well, first off, obviously, we're trying to get moved into this building. Okay, that's our next, that's our adventure
Next
step, however you want. That's
we've
our next
appropriated
step.
some money this year in the
Right,
budget
right.
to finish.
We gotta get moved into this building. In my mind, even though Ron doesn't agree with me, in my mind is obviously, the existing town hall, all right? I know that when they did the feasibility study, they said, tear it down, sell it, whatever. I find it hard to believe that we would get the vote to tear it down, because I think that it's probably, a lot of people consider the town hall on the same line as maybe a lot of people felt about the Gale building, okay? I've had a couple people look at it, and my feeling would be, again, that would be Park and Rec. But the front side, just in my mind, I'm thinking the front side, a couple small meeting rooms, a lot like what the corner meeting house was. And then the back side, it's all handicapped, it's all, open it up, and it's on that side where the park is, all right? But that's only me, all right? In my mind, I like to have a, how do I want to say it? I try to plan ahead, so to speak, okay? My envision, I try to envision what might work, all right? I had a gentleman come down and he has had great vision, as we all know, and kind of put me on that visionary line, okay? So yeah, meeting rooms, we have 2 here. We may end up with another one maybe on the 3rd floor. There might be a couple other small areas also here as we move forward, okay?
We need to expand because we need to have the programs there. We usually have to have 2 people on as well. So that staffing, if we had to have a program someplace else, we have to do extra for staffing. So we definitely want rooms because we are crunched in there, and we had to take out some tables that are housed, I think, over here at the old post office, right? Some of the tables. So we do need more room for a bigger area to do programs there as well. Anyway, we also need more room to put books in. And right now, like, we have 1 table with a computer. I personally don't think it's inviting. So we need to, as trustees, look at it in a new way. When you go in, there's 1 table with a computer. It's not inviting to do craft night. It's not inviting to have room. I mean, you're picking up a book and you're leaving.
We understand.
And that's not what I want our library to be. Our library is for all ages, and to have programs and to do some STEM activities and even using the backyard and the gazebo. So, I mean, there's not much land there that's left, and I'm sure you don't want the gazebo, right? We don't want that bandstand blocked.
Right.
I mean, bandstands are
Right.
beautiful, it looks beautiful down there. The Veterans Monument is beautiful as well, so that can't be blocked. So I'm thinking personally that the whole left side is a no-go, which makes sense. You want people to come to listen to the bands.
Well, again, and again, this is my visionary again, whether good or bad, but I've been to some of the concerts that were at the gazebo, and one of the downfalls is when you're sitting up on the bank looking at it, the sun is shining right in your face. So you have to wear a cap with something down over it. And so in my mind, once we remove the bank building, which I would prefer to see it gone, have an area, I want to say kind of a berm around, because when you're really at the gazebo, it's really, to look at the gazebo, it's that way, it's not up on the bank. It's kind of the way it was set up, so it's more conducive to be sitting not on the bank, but on the other side. And obviously, in my mind, it's a great place to have what I would call a green space to see the mill building, maybe a space to do a farmer's market, you know, in conjunction with the pavilion. But again, when we're all in this building, we'll be using some of that parking space, all right? So I understand, you know, in my mind, that all has to be reconfigured to just make it look better than that ugly thing that's sitting there at the moment. That's a storage place at this point. But that's my envision.
There's, in the feasibility study, there's a mock-up of what it might look like if the bandstand, with an expanded library, with the bandstand as a focus off to the side.
Yeah.
Perhaps a paved area
Mm-hmm.
that would allow for accessibility.
Yeah.
And for outdoor programming for the library, if they wanted to do story time outside one day,
Mm-hmm.
a way to help people, because not everyone is able to walk on the lawn.
Sure. So what is your, are you thinking that you're going to hire this architect, or are you looking at a design build?
So we don't even, I'm not spending probably what, $65,000 for blueprints now. I don't even know where that money came from. Like I said, it was way before I went on. Yeah, so before we move further, obviously we need to have approval from the town to even think of the land, correct? And then we need some guidance on the next step for the bond. Can a bond be put in with other buildings that may need some assistance or fixing up? At one time it was this building, so we weren't sure. This is how long we've been looking at it, like if this was gonna be lumped in with the bond for this building, or with the police station, or.
I've been looking at the possibility of federal grants, some private grants, and I've been talking with libraries in the state that have recently done renovations about how they manage the private part of their fundraising. So those are all things going into the table, but I think we probably need an approximation of what kind of support the town might be willing to put forth, so we know, given the potential costs of the new space, where we need to come with the grants and the private fundraising.
And what you're going to.
Well, this is the horse in the wagon.
Yeah.
You're asking us for an unknown.
Yeah.
How much money, now, for many years,
Yeah.
a gentleman who was on as a selectman campaigned vigorously for the library. Very much so. How much money do you have saved for your building fund?
So we have the capital reserve fund, right?
For
So
building.
that's why it was,
Yeah.
that's why it was.
Because every year, he had it for 50, sometimes $100,000. The last of my recollection, there was a half a
I
million.
never saw 100,000, so it was like put up for 50,000, then it was cut down to 25, and then there was a few years that.
How much money do you have in that fund now?
Just about 300, 325.
Actually, there's 309,
Yeah.
016, 36 without this year's appropriation.
And what did we appropriate?
That will not go in until December.
And what did we appropriate this year?
I believe it was 25,000.
But before we even do that, we have to figure out if you're even gonna give us the land. So if we have no land to do an addition.
But I can't tell you if I'm gonna give you the land if you can't show, you're giving me some idea how much land we're gonna give you, so somebody.
Well, that's what we wanna know, what are you willing to,
Yes.
so
Yeah, but-
over
excuse
here,
me,
I mean,
excuse me.
there isn't much land left. right?
I can measure. I'm not very smart, but I can measure. I'd like to listen to the man behind you because he's a lot smarter than I am.
All right. People don't realize how small that building is. It's only 26 by 46. It's a real small building. 2 stories. The only, in my mind, the only way that it would work is if you'd have to come on this end of the building and come this way with it. Probably have to move the bandstand. That's no big deal moving that thing. Just put another slab down to move it. That's not in the way.
But we're not under obligation because it's on a, what's that? Yeah, I don't think we can.
Well, then it would be.
Hold on a minute.
Wait 1 second. Jean?
I mean, the bandstand was moved and renovated with land water conservation funds,
Yeah.
LCHIP funds.
Okay.
There's currently a marker showing that, it was built with those funds. We've exceeded the 5 years that we were originally under relative to that project. But I believe when it was moved and when we did the village, renovation
Revitalization.
to the main street, they really looked hard at whether or not the plans for the expansion of the library could still fit, and they felt that everyone that looked at them, the architects, the engineers that were all part of that process, felt that they would fit. And those would have been the plans that Chris Williams had done.
Can we show you, just for, since we're talking about it?
Yeah.
So, it's a 2-story building. Any addition, you're gonna have to put, to make it EDA, you're gonna have to put an elevator.
Yeah, I don't know where these
Oh,
are.
we're into elevators.
It's all gone.
Yeah. But the reality is that you wanna keep with the same architecture of the building, so that's gonna
Yep.
raise the expense, if you're gonna go with brick. You're probably not gonna put a slate roof, you don't have to do that, but at least kind of something that matches. So it would be, my thinking is that the new addition is gonna be the main library, because the other is so small, that would be like an annex, because if you're gonna build it for the next 100 years, I mean, that was built in 1928 for $25,000 back in the day. But in order to make it so that it's gonna be for the town for the next 100 years, it's gonna have to be substantial. So you're looking at.
Yeah, when I'm looking at this rendering on the front,
Yeah.
dollar signs are adding up. It's gonna be very
It's
expensive.
about, you're talking $3 to $4 million.
Yeah, easily. And unfortunately, especially right now, yeah. I guess, I mean, obviously, the police department was a design build. We interviewed and we hired. And that went really well. I mean, really well. And I think there had been, we hadn't done any plans on the police department before we did our project here, correct, Jean? Was there anything that, go ahead.
Very preliminary one from the Valley Brunsinger.
Right.
There was a general
Yeah.
floor plan.
Yeah,
And they estimated at 2.5.
Yeah.
And I said, what we do, and
yeah,
the 3.5 is
yeah.
getting sketchy. So, to do something like this, I told Jessica to go over and look at the library over in Tilton Northfield, which they did a nice addition and it fits in
Yeah.
good. But I don't know, you're probably talking $150 to $200 a square foot for this type of building, so.
Yeah, it's not gonna be inexpensive, that's for sure. But again, well, like doing with the schools, right? We can't guarantee the bond's gonna pass. You know, believe me, it's a lot of work to get a bond passed. So I guess the question is, so the town owns the land, so we have to have it surveyed and provide them with the amount that they need? I mean, why?
The road used to go down through there.
Right. I mean, what's the procedure for that, Jean?
Well, I think what I might toss out there, and please, bear with me.
That's what this is for.
If you are going to consider taking the bank building down, perhaps, the better choice, and we are all moved into the town hall at this point, would be to enlarge Center Street and make it a two-way street, and then you could expand the parking over next to the library and actually build into that area where the road is.
Mm-hmm.
So you would build to the right of the library if you're facing it. That road would go away. There might be parking there because there might still be enough room for parking. Or we would make Center Street bigger, so it's a two-way road. That would be the main entrance road into the mill, as well as to the area where the library is, where the bandstand is, and so forth.
See, there you build a brand new library and make that a museum.
But then where are you gonna build a brand new library?
Then the Duffy
Well, I
fund,
mean,
that's
you're
the
gonna spend-
Oh, the Duffy Fund,
The
yeah,
Duffy fund has that stipulation.
yeah.
I mean, if you build it if you took the bank down, you built it there, adjacent.
It'd probably have to be some way attached to it though, right?
Yeah, and I wasn't really talking about
Yeah.
building it where the bank building.
No, she's talking right behind it.
I'm taking the bank building out and really making that into some green space, but
Widening that street.
Widen the street,
Mhm.
right?
But if you attach it to the building, you gotta kind of match the architecture, which raises the
Yeah.
price.
Yeah, oh
So
yeah,
you're better off to build a new library and make that a museum or something.
Mhm.
Then you wouldn't have to, you're still gonna have to fit it in, but you don't have to match it so close.
Mhm. Well, I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this when I look at this, but I understand it's gonna be expensive.
And we don't have to go, obviously, with that design, like, we
No.
have an NHLTA
Right.
workshop next Tuesday, and at that workshop, you have every library in the state of New Hampshire
Sure.
that goes and they will tell you how to do the fundraising, they have the architects that they use, how to, even the mortar, how, the regional mortar didn't have lime in it, that's when we had it repointed.
Right.
Does that sound right, lime? Had lime in it, that it had to be matched because it's a historical building
Right,
through the state, so.
Because that's a line mortar, which is,
Right,
it's weaker, as opposed to a type S mortar, which has more cement.
right, so the gentleman, when they did repointing, they even matched that.
Right.
They didn't use lime anymore because
Because it's a historical building, that's what I say, you may be able to,
Lost water.
just build a new one, because the expense.
Well, I gotta tell you right now, not until we get this building done, do we start this.
Oh, no. Well, they're,
Understand?
and I guess my question again is, and Ron, maybe you can help me with this, is it in their best interest to do similar to what we did with the police station? Design build it, or they're gonna go out and hire an architect that,
Well, that's that expense, that's like engineering a road, you hire an engineer, you hire somebody that builds roads. It's the
Right.
same.
right,
It's the same scenario, but, you find, most contractors have experience building these things. And if you're familiar with Wolf Road, what they did, they had a library, and they built the building around the existing
Right,
library.
right.
Then they tore the existing one down,
yeah.
but that was.
That's not gonna happen here, right,
So,
but,
I guess, in order to sell it to the people, you gotta show the need, and how much you're gonna need. And, like I said, it's gonna last for another 100 years, so you've got to.
well, that's why I think design build, because, the other issue you run into, you gotta know what the bond's you gotta know what it's gonna cost.
Right.
And then you gotta however your grant money, your fundraising, you know, that type of thing will decrease that amount, which is only gonna be in your favor. You know, let's just say for conversation piece, let's just say, you hire design build and they come up with the plan and it's $3 million. We know it's gonna be more than that, but let's just say $3 million. Well, now you know that's gonna be the price. And again, you can go for a $3 million bond minus what you may get for grants or what you may get for fundraising or whatever, but at least you have a number. I mean, it's hard to sell anything without a number.
Well, we need a picture too.
Oh yeah, well, if you design build, you're going to, like what we do, we interview contractors, design build companies, and then they use their architect that they have either on staff or contracted with that creates, they're gonna take all the information that you have, they may come up with a different design or whatever, but then they're gonna give you a price.
Where do you think we should tell them to build?
I can't answer
I don't
that.
think you need to tell them.
They're gonna tell you,
They're gonna tell you.
yeah.
When you get serious, I think when you go to this conference that you're talking about, and you talk to people who are in the same boat you are, we're in the library business, we're not in the building business or the land procurement business.
Yeah.
And you'll get people that'll come out and give you some advice, and you go to a contractor and they'll say, well, what do you got for sites? Well, when we started looking around, we knew that the corner meeting house wasn't working for us, and its usefulness, unfortunately, in the future wasn't gonna be there. And it was input from the citizens of what they wanted it downtown. They didn't want it down on 106, or they wanted it here. So from that, we went forward. And then the people that came and talked to us about buildings, they all allocated about what we should have and looking forward. Like Ron keeps saying, another 100 years, you gotta look forward. It seems impossible, but you have to look that far. And they'll come up and design a building and put it in a CAD machine, and you won't spend $45,000 for a set of blueprints.
We just want to make sure that, like, we don't know the regulations for the gazebo, we don't know the regulations for the monument.
Well, I think you'll find that Gene will look into that a little deeper in case if that became an issue as to moving it. The fact that we have the old bank building sitting there right now, and we do have a problem. We have a storage problem. We're not in here, we're not out of there, we're not in that.
We're in
limbo.
We're in limbo. That's a
So
good way of putting
We
it.
try to do and pay these renovations with cash, with not borrowing money or writing a bond for it. And we've done that so far, and we have some money this year. We're gonna work on a couple more floors and hopefully maybe get moved in here this year or maybe next year. But get the town hall moved over here. And this way building's going right now, if you wanted to call somebody and say, hey, I want you to build me a building, call, we'll be there in 3 years. I mean, the building's really booming and prices are very, very high. Will they go down? It's gonna go down some probably with the economy, but not a lot.
And personally, I wanna start with a building committee, like, we all we're volunteers, we work full-time during the day.
Have at it.
So I personally think we need to have a building committee, maybe some people volunteer to be on it, just saying. So to help us with this process as well.
I think that's a great idea, but especially when, the biggest thing today is, I think we miss financing because we don't ask enough questions. Because I think there is government money out there. I mean, I applaud the fire chiefs here tonight. He came to us and wanted a boat, because we didn't have a boat on the lake. And he had this number of like $250,000, and I said, oh boy, we kind of said, no, they ain't gonna work. Well, he and his staff got us a grant that it cost us $25,000 of town taxpayer money for 2 boats. One to be spread on Winnisquam full-time, and another one on a trailer, a small one for these smaller ponds, and if we had to get over to Sergeant Lake or a smaller pond to help somebody in distress. And that was just about somebody asking the question and looking on the magic thing, the computer. And now,
And I think
they looked
because
and
the other
saved us
issue
time.
is, in your particular case, you don't have a plan, you don't have a size, you don't have our money. amount, you know, it's
No, but
just.
see, your building
you
committee
gotta
would ask
start,
those questions of a
Right.
contractor.
And
Yeah.
before we went forward, that's why I wanted to make sure
Yeah.
what the town was gonna give us for land. If you tell us that absolutely did not have any of that land, well, then that changes it, right? So
I'm not, and as a selectman, I'm not saying that, because I don't know what you're gonna put there.
Yeah.
And it's the chicken or the egg. I mean, I don't know what you wanna put there, so you gotta, a building needs committee is a great idea. And then you sit down and tell those people, we're servicing this many people right now on a population of what the town is, and it's grown some in the last 3 years especially. And if you looked at your growth, and that's one of the things you're gonna use later on when you propose this, to come to a town voting session, a meeting that we want the town to borrow the money. Well, the town's grown, our numbers have grown by leaps and bounds, and I know you're busy and you're doing a great job. That has no bearing though when it comes to the voting booth. They may be in your place, in the library 5 days a week, but when it comes to looking at their tax bill, they may say no. But you gotta find the needs, and that building needs committee, and I think we all know there's a need. But you gotta put the need thing, and then you sit and talk to someone. We happen to choose Bonnet, Page and Stone, and I use them because they had a very good presentation. They are local, and we got some great workmanship and some, not really freebies, but you can, if you do this, it's gonna cost less. And if you do, and still get the same use of the building. Because one of the officers pays his taxes in this town.
Yeah, actually, 2 of them, I think.
Yeah, so, you know, and the foreman lives right across the street from it.
3 of them.
Bob. So, you know, and they were more interested in it. So I think that the building needs is good, but when you go to this and you talk to people that have been in your shoes, what do we do? And you kind of, well, what do we need? Classrooms? Are we building classrooms? Are we building study halls? Are we building small rooms? What are we doing, and how many square feet do we need down the road to do what you foresee? Because the other people that see it, we don't see it. I mean, but when you say talking about books, my first thing is, well, everybody I know's got these square phones with picture tubes on them.
Oh, I have to have a book.
Yeah, you know, and then they don't want to read a book. They read the phone.
Yeah.
So, you know, so if you said to me, from a layman's term, I would say, no, I'm not, why are you buying books when everybody seems to be on this merry-go-round with these things? But I know there's a need, but you gotta start with a building committee, and you got a good guy right behind you that'll volunteer sure and now.
Craig, that's a good job for you.
But that's.
I mean, we
we're not
were
opposed
very
to it.
fortunate with the police station. I mean, obviously, there was a need, but you still had people out there that voted no for it, even though we proved there was a need, all right? And there was a definite need. And fortunately, we were able to get it passed, and fortunately, because it was design build, the contractor had to stay within a certain figure. But we were fortunate enough, we got it in just before the prices went, you know. So, you know, when we're looking at maybe 3, it probably is closer to 5, who knows? I mean, again, but you won't know until you design build, I guess. You know.
You gotta prove it to the people.
You gotta-
that need it.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the hard part.
That will be the hard.
Like he said, everybody, you know, they got their phones, and you got Google, and anytime you wanna know, it's like encyclopedias.
Yeah.
Who uses those anymore, you know?
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, there's-
It's even to get the bond passed for the police station. I drank a lot of coffee and a lot of tea, but I visited people personally. I carried that brochure with me everywhere I went, and if I ran into anybody, I took 5 minutes and talked with them. And a lot of it is going to be to get a good group together that really goes out and sells the building when you get that point. I mean, that's, yeah.
Some preliminary, we did a survey last year
Mhm.
about what people were looking for in their library.
Mhm.
We hit mostly library users that time,
Mhm.
but I think another round is probably indicated with people who are not necessarily library users,
Mhm.
because the library can offer that community space that people are desiring, can work closely with the rec department
Mhm.
and combine efficiencies that way.
Yep.
People read on their computers, they read on with the physical book, and we can serve both of those.
Yeah. It is, it's just, it's a selling, it's a selling thing. You've just really gotta, you know, get your
We
home,
waited
do your
100
home.
years.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
I mean.
You're not 100 years old,
Yeah.
so use the word "we" right out of there.
That building's been waiting 100
Yeah,
years.
their building has, yeah.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
yeah.
No,
There's a school up there still standing, but I graduated.
With the Gale School?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean,
You got a great idea, put a committee together and study it, and we're here to ask questions, and hopefully, this is not negativity, this is, you got a plan for this, I mean, it doesn't happen overnight, it really doesn't.
and like I said, we're not wasting money. I'm not giving up the
Well,
Tuffy fund money. There's no way.
but
That's
you're right to
right.
spend $45,000, maybe, it may have not been a waste of money then, but it was an awful lot of money 10 years ago for a set of plans. And that was the wrong way to go about it, to be quite frank with you, because if you talk to a design-build company, that would have been pretty much presented, or a sketch or something, and this is what we're gonna build you, and this is what the interior is gonna look like, and that's what it will end up.
and I mean, we had many meetings with the architect, with the contractor, right here, picking up, you know, it was, I think it was a great process. I mean, the only thing that was a headache was the elevator, but that even finally got,
I'll stop in and talk to Keith at Bay, see what libraries per square foot are going, he give us a rough idea.
because they've done some.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing them in their book, I can't remember, and I don't have
Yeah,
it
they did
with me.
Laconia Library.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
I think they
they've
did
done-
Bristol, BPS?
yeah,
I think they did Bristol.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, rebuilt Laconia, basically.
yeah.
But I'll find out, is that's the numbers, and right now, I talked to him a couple of weeks ago, and, I saw him at, St. Joseph's Church, he was talking to Father Mark, but they need some work done, and when I was talking to him, he said, you can't figure out anything because the numbers are just going crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't get contractors, they're doing that big project up in Lakeport,
Yeah.
and it's going slow because you can't get help.
No.
So, it's nuts.
Which might be in favor for us, it's gonna take that long, for us, so.
Right, but the hard part's gonna be is how, the number,
Correct.
you know, and that's the hard part. And again, I guess no different than the schools. When the bonds didn't pass the first time, you added more money with the next time, and you added more money. It's that same thing. If it doesn't happen, it's gonna cost more and more. Nothing seems to go down, but I mean, it's, yeah.
But what they've gotta do is they gotta set up a list of everything they need.
Yes, yeah,
Those are the numbers you gotta start working with.
sure,
So you can't come in and just say, I'm gonna build you a library.
right,
What's the need, and
Yeah.
then you look and see what's available, or how you wanna go about to get the money, but you gotta show the need.
And that's
And-
one, oh, sorry, well, I was thinking on that original one, that's why I was thinking less meeting spaces, because I think they had quite a few, because at that time, this building was full.
Right.
The town hall was full and bursting
Yeah.
at the seams.
yeah,
So I'm thinking, yes, we do need meeting
Mhm.
areas, but maybe not as much for the
Yeah.
community, to have outside meetings come
Yeah.
in.
right,
Like the VFW, or,
Sure.
you know, the Lions Club, do
yeah,
not need to use the library any longer.
right,
For that area,
Yeah.
for that meeting area.
Yeah, we used to have our planning board meetings in the in the back
Right.
basement.
Yeah, select board meetings too, I think.
yeah.
No.
If you could keep it to one floor, you would save a lot of money.
Yeah, I know,
A 4-foot foundation as opposed to,
yeah,
yeah, and then there was cost by attaching to that one, you know. I've
could you
been to-
attach, you know, and again, I'm not, this is only for conversation, don't, but I wonder if you would attach it on two sides. Maybe the back and some towards the front. But again, I don't know, I'm just, you kind of try to psychoanalyze. Who knows?
Also, because it's a historical building, we are
I
exempt
know.
from that ADA.
Right.
So it would be nice to have like ADA accessible bathrooms
Oh,
and
you-
areas, but we don't need to make the whole library meet ADA. Like
Okay.
right now, a patron can request, is it $30 to go to Laconia? If they wanna use an ADA library, we
Oh, no.
pay for that membership, that outside, out of town
Yeah,
fee of $30 to Laconia Library, if that's the one they choose, for them to be able to have that ADA
Yeah.
requirement.
Yeah.
But if you want grant money, you're gonna have to have it all ADA. You can't pick and choose.
Yeah,
You get grant money.
yeah. But again, you know, depending on, that's your architect. Yeah, you got, yeah, yeah. I mean, we can back and forth, but we're not gonna, I'm not, no architect. Yeah, you just gotta,
I would offer one comment though.
okay.
If you remember back to the police department project, we actually had another firm do a preliminary, siting of where potentially the police station was going to go and approximately how many square feet. And we went to the people with that for the bond vote. The RFP for the design build happened after we already had the money, because you're going to need the funds to pay for that design build. Because we had invoicing coming in the entire time that the project was being designed by BPS. We were paying for progress invoices and so forth for the design aspect.
Well, they've got this, well, you know, they've got, 300 and something.
Right, so they could definitely
Yeah.
use their capital reserve fund for that purpose, but I just wanna make sure everyone knew that, you know, the design build process is a great process, it worked well, but you are paying for that to move through the process.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's not free.
It's not that they come in
And wasn't the preliminary amount of floor space that was needed, wasn't that done through that, was it a feasibility study by that group? Yeah, that's what I thought. And the library wasn't part of that, I don't think.
No,
No.
we paid about $65,000 for the
Right.
work they did.
The feasibility study, but that was for several, yeah. Okay. All right, girls.
Thank you.
You know, whatever we can do. Oh, sorry. Don't watch out for the cords.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other new or old business?
Just kind of old and new. Patrick and the crew last week, I don't know if you drove
Yeah,
by, but
I saw.
I did provide you pictures
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
They painted the wall that you approved of last week.
Yep,
He
Great.
wants to know if you want to do the kind of the right-hand side of it, if you're looking at it from where I am. He estimates it'll be about $250, and I do believe they came in a little under budget for the paint on that other side, if you wanna
Yeah.
have them match the other side.
You can't see it from the bandstand if you're having a
No,
concert or
no.
anything. The only time you really see this wall is
when you're coming out of the mill,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think we ought to paint the other side myself. I mean, kind of
I agree
look
with
like
you,
the
Sonny.
job's half done.
Yep,
Yep.
have at it.
We're ready to do it, so you just give us the okay.
Okay.
That's fine.
Does anybody move forward with that? Okay.
All those in favor, aye. Thank you.
But it looks good, Pat.
All right,
Yes,
thanks.
does look good.
All right, we'll take care of it.
I don't have anything else. Jean, do you have anything else?
I do not, just the, request, for the non-public session.
Oh, yes.
The memo, if the board could just choose a time, I would just say that it is a sensitive topic, so I wouldn't go into details
Yep.
now. But the Board of Selectmen and, Chief Lugowski would be present with the individual who's requested the meeting.
Well, it probably shouldn't be this week.
No.
Okay.
No, at this point, I think probably, the first of next week, Monday, Tuesday, might be more reasonable to, consider that.
And you want to do it in the morning?
I would prefer
I
not
think
Tuesday.
you can do it,
You
yes,
will.
it's not a public
Tuesday.
session,
Tuesday.
it's whatever's convenient for all of you.
How about Wednesday?
Wednesday's fine, I just can't do it Tuesday morning.
Wednesday next week? Could you do Wednesday next
Wednesday
week?
next week, huh? Right now, it seems to be fine, but.
I know. I just gotta
know,
check,
like today, I
Gene.
had
We're leaning more towards Wednesday, maybe? John can't do,
Yeah, if you check your
all right,
schedule, maybe when you come in to sign the manifest tomorrow, you can
okay,
just let me know what's good for you.
okay, all right,
Okay.
We can just double check with Mark.
okay. All right. All right. Everybody left. I guess
And they
nobody-
were gone.
So nothing else?
Nope.
All right, this meeting's adjourned. Okay,
Good night, see you in the morning.
good night.
In the morning, Gene.
Okay.
I much prefer the morning meetings.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Well, we had to do it because they all worked. That's
What
why
do you
we
think
met
we do?
tonight. Yeah, we're here to please.
We're here for your entertainment pleasure.
I mean, I couldn't believe all the comments that are made about Comcast and Breeze Line and everything, and not one person showed up. I couldn't believe it. I'm going, geez,